Welcome to my little bonus video building up on our quick rig series here in Maya. The Delta Mush Deformer is a deformer built in Maya, which is going to save you a lot of time. I've been using this in productions over years. It helps you to restore volumes, leverage details from one mesh into another mesh. We're not going to talk about the details. This one is only going to be about volumes. In the future, I might cover a little bit more in-depth things regarding the Delta Mush Deformer, but for now, we're going to stick just to restore volumes in a broken mesh after you've posed it. All right, guys, let's dive right into it and have fun. All right, guys, last little trick here is our Delta Mush Deformer. And the beauty about this is, I'm just gonna demonstrate it. Easier to show than to explain what it actually does. So first of all, let's say this is our pose. I just purposefully did something weird because you can see how all these volumes break and things just kind of like start behaving a little weird here underneath the arms. We have this weird shearing and things like that. So again, we haven't touched these weights at all. This is really just what Quick Rig or the automatic bind function gives us, and how it's going to distribute the weights based on the joints. But as I already mentioned at the beginning, this is not meant to be a high-end rigging tutorial. This is really just to showcase you an easy and fast way to pose a character and then move on in sculpting and have fun sculpting on it. So first of all, we want to duplicate our pose off. So I'm just going to hit Control D, duplicate this off, and we call this pose 01. So you know, in case you have multiple poses, this can be really handy to discuss with friends, supervisors, fellow artists, or whatsoever, and kind of ask them for their opinion, what they think about weight distribution, balance, etc., etc. And one thing we got to do here though is right now, if I want to move this around, this doesn't work because the rig, when we started the quick rig function, it locks down our transforms, so we can't move it. But to unlock them, just kind of select in your channel box these values over here, right click, unlock selected, and you're good to go. So we can now move this over here. Another thing I want to do here, and what we need to basically try to restore these broken volumes as best as possible, is the neutral original pose. So to get there, go back here to my character control menu, hit that little button, stance pose, and we get back to our original. I'll duplicate that as well. Unlock the transforms because I want to have it side by side so you guys can see what I'm doing. Unlock selected, and we are gonna move this over. So basically the idea is, and what we're gonna do here is, we want to restore our original volumes as best as possible in this posed mesh and kind of fix these broken areas which are caused by the auto weighting and just the fast way we put this rig into it. First thing you want to do is select your pose, then shift select your clean original A pose body mesh, go up to deform and create a blend shape. All right, so in this case what we have here now is we have a blend shape node. Activate the blend shape here, body pose needs to be dialed in on 1, and we have a pose here as well. So the cool thing is about blend shape, we can dial it in and out and even do middle steps of a pose as well if you need, like, or you let your character dance a little bit, whatever you want to do. Have it in pose. Then we are going to deform and select Delta Mush. So Delta Mush, I'm not going to go into technical details for this, but Delta Mush has its own, you can see it here, and it's a little node stack. So we have a blend shape, we have a Delta Mush on top, and now you can play with smoothing iterations. So in this case, what we're going to do, we're going to throw in 100. And what you can see what it does. Watch exactly, like the envelope is to activate and deactivate something, but check out what it does. It kind of restores a little bit of those broken proportions we had in before, right? Which is very, very nice to have. So again, we can crank this up to a higher value as well. So let's try 300. Sometimes you gotta be careful, of course, because maybe it restores too much of what you actually want to, what you need in there. Maybe it brings too much back in, and then it's not necessarily what you want. Maybe you preferred the kind of like sharpened knee here in front of it. So this is the cool thing, we can actually paint the influence of a Delta Mush Deformer as well. But before we're gonna do this, we're gonna look real quick into what's happening here. Unfortunately, this is an issue which comes with the Delta Mush Deformer, that it starts to make this zigzag broken mesh structure. but there is luckily a fast fix for this as well. And then it's just going back to deform, Delta Mush, and create another Delta Mush on top. But that second Delta Mush, try the lowest values possible. So in this case here, 5, maybe try 10. And you can see how this second Delta Mush now only fixes our weird zigzag structure. So make sure you just go over your mesh real quick and check out where you want the Delta Mush to come in, or where you need to fix that structure in its general. Another thing you can do is as well, just again, click your mesh, right click on your mesh, go to paint, Delta Mush, and in this case we're gonna start painting the Delta Mush 1 influence first. So so what we're gonna do here though is, and right now you can't see anything, switch to your tool menu and then go to display our color feedback. So activate your color feedback, everything is white, so we get Delta Mush happening all over the place. Set the value to black here and hit the flop button. So right now Delta Mush is not coming through anywhere. Our next step is we can actually tell Maya where we want Delta Mush happening. So we can just paint in, like, let's say the knees looked pretty broken here, the legs maybe, let's paint something in here. Then what else looked fairly broken? I think here underneath the arms, something like this. If you don't like the color feedback on top, just switch it back off. And if you don't like the wireframe on top as well, you can just go to show, selection highlight, and switch that back off as well. And then really kind of see a visual representation of your mesh and restore these deformation issues right in here. I personally like having color feedback, and then sometimes I really enjoy having my wireframe on top of as well, so just so I can see which areas I'm painting at the moment. So you can just kind of do this and restore those values. Pretty easy, without any stress, and it gives you an even better base to put back into ZBrush and to sculpt on. Let's fix this here as well. I think we had some destruction here in this whole torso in general. And if you want less somewhere, you can as well play with your, either you work with your Wacom tablet, or you just kind of change the opacity up here and it gets less strong. And to invert your brush, you can hold down Control and you can start painting back in some of the darker values here to fix this up, or reverse it, and then, you know, and really kind of like sculpt already just with that Delta Mush Deformer. This is a more advanced trick, so feel free to use it or leave it, up to you, but I personally do a lot of stuff with this thing and it helps me really to keep a mesh clean after I post it. And last but not least, go back into paint mode, so select your mesh. Sometimes if it doesn't show up, you might still have selection highlight off. Right click, paint, Delta Mush here, weight 1. And another nice thing is if you go to the smooth section over here and you have opacity full on, you hit the flop button a couple times, it really smooths these painted transitions out and gives you a very nice and soft transition. All right, but I mean, check it out, guys. So this is what we had before, and just to kind of like blend shape this into each other again to see what the difference is of the actual Delta Mush, I'm gonna blend shape this into a new version. I'm switching off my selection highlights, and then we can put this envelope back on and off, and you can see how well, how a nice job it actually does in restoring certain areas, and it brings certain things of my body I've sculpted in before back and helps us to keep something clean. Alright, this pretty much covers our 4-part series on using quick rigs in Maya, with this last section going a little bit over the Delta Mush Deformer, which is usually a pretty big time saver in production, and hope for you as well. Of course, you can use ZBrush and Mudbox to pose your character as well. I just personally prefer Maya due to its flexibility, but at the end it really comes down to what you prefer, what works best for you, and you feel most comfortable with. Happy posing! Take care, guys.